Promdi, Lodi.
Basta Promdi, Lodi!
Tunay na tunay, Promdi.
Alam mo, Apid, nitong nakaraang Webes, tinalakay natin na nga yung hinaing na high blood ka nga masyado dito, di ba?
Oo.
Ng isang nurse doon sa kaugnay sa napakababang natanggap na Special Risk Allowance o SRA. Sa post niya sa social media sa post ni Sam Rivero, sinabi niya na mula December 2020 hanggang June. So, sa makatuwid parang 7 buwan yun,
yes.
no? 3,863
Diba? Oo.
pesos lang and 63 centavos ang natanggap niya. Kung i-divide mo by 7 yun,
My
Diyos ko,
God.
di ba?
Lugi pa.
Oo nga. At ni wala man lang daw paliwanag ang ospital na kanyang pinapasukan kung paano na-compute yung 3,000 plus na yon over 7 months.
Says, ang guest natin naman ngayon, nakatanggap ng 8,000 pesos na SRA para noong September to December 2020.
Okay.
Pero yung SRA niya mula December 20 hanggang June 2021, hindi pa rin niya natatanggap. Isa't kalahating taon na siyang pumapasok bilang nurse sa COVID ward sa isang ospital dito sa Metro Manila at nagka-COVID na din siya last year. Pero dahil job order ang status niya, wala siyang sinasahod sa panahon na quarantine siya. At yan, nasa linya ng telepono natin si Nurse Nico, nakasapi ng Philippine Nurses United o FNU.
Ako po si Nico, isa pong nurse sa isang LGU dito sa Metro Manila. Pero dati na po akong naging aking status ay job order simula pa nung nagsimula ako bilang nurse.
Pakipaliwanag, ano ang kaibahan ng job order sa regular na employment?
Ganitong mga job order or tinatawag na contractual ay mga hinire ng iba't ibang ng LGU, agencies, mga national agencies, pero wala kaming ibang benefits, wala kaming leave. Kahit nga po 13-month pay or 14-month pay na naririnig namin sa mga regular, walang overtime pay, no holidays.
Sa duty mo rin nakuha yung COVID mo nung nagka-COVID ka.
Opo, nagkapasalamat din ako dahil dito sa amin, sa LGU namin, dahil binigyan kami ng routine swab.
Anong paliwanag kung bakit hindi ka ma-regularize at kung bakit job order, walang budget?
Ang paliwanag nila dahil sabi nila walang plantilla or kaya ngayon daw is emergency, state of emergency. Hindi daw po muna sila nag-hire. Siguro pang-apat na kontrata na ito na pinirmahan ko. So every 3 months kami pinapapirma ng bagong kontrata. So,
Alam mo, nakakatawa Apid tong gobyernong to,
Oo.
di ba? Bawal ang anong tinatawag nila, endo.
Oo.
Sila nga itong nagpapatupad
Sila
ng
yung
endo na
nagpapauso
yun.
nito.
Di ba?
Oo.
Second tranche na dapat na SRA, hindi mo pa natatanggap. Yung para sa
Oo.
2021.
opo,
Ano po ba ang naging rason nung ospital?
di ba pandemya, marami po ang hindi raw mabibigyan kung ibibigay sa amin kung ibibigay sa amin yung buo. Kumbaga magpasalamat na lang daw po kami kasi meron kaming matatanggap.
Kasi sa atin, kunya construction worker ka, na-aksidente ka sa construction, may hazard pay ka eh. Bakit tuloy itong mga frontliner natin na talagang 100% super at risk ang trabaho nila, hindi mabigyan-bigyan ng ganitong proteksyon? Nico, hingi natin ang sagot ng DOH dyan. At ngayong hapon, sasamahan tayo ng mga taga-Department of Health via Zoom para magbigay linaw sa isyong ito. Kasama natin si ASEC Maylene Beltran at si Director Rowena Lorna ng DOH Finance Management Service.
Ngayon ho, nakikinig nga po kami sa ating nurse caller. Ang gusto ho naming malaman muna po ay saan ho kayang LGU po ito at saka saan ho hospital? Kasi po, dito po sa Department of Health, of course, we are under a devolved public health setting po. Kaya yung mga LGUs po ay sila ay autonomous para magdesisyon sa kanilang mga pangkalusugang serbisyo, including the payment of salaries of our contractual workers, job orders.
What about the SRA? Is it the responsibility of the LGU, or will it come from did it come from the DOH?
Yung special risk allowance po na tinatanong ngayon, nanggaling din ho yun talaga sa Department of Health through the RA 11494.
Okay.
Asek, your position directly is responsible of this SRA. Tama po ba yung understanding ko?
Yes sir, kami ho yung nagmamanage ng emergency hiring.
According to Philippine Nurses Association, hindi talaga nakakuha ng SRA. And sabi naman ni Asek Ong last time na nakausap namin siya, meron talagang pondo, may napabagsak sa mga ospital. So Asek, with these informations, what is the reason why hindi natatanggap ng mga nurses natin ang pondo?
We got an allotment from DBM of around 9 billion.
9
But
billion,
ang
yeah.
exact figure ho is 8.886 million. Opo, ang binaba po ng DBM sa Department of Health. Ang ginawa ho namin po doon ay inallocate sa various health facilities nationwide, the list of which came from our Centers for Health Development or our regional offices, na sila din ho ang nag-gather ng mga listahan sa iba't ibang health facilities sa region. Kasama po ang LGUs. If we say CHD po, Mrs., we're saying the Center for Health Development na regional office ng DOH, kasama po doon ang budget or allocation, let's say allocation for LGU hospitals at mga hospitals within the region, including private hospitals po.
If we look at it, like yung issue ko nung kay Sam last time, and I've talked to a lot of nurses already, all of the LGUs, all of the public hospitals, private hospitals, they have the same problem. So, if you're asking ASEC, what LGU is Nico involved? That's, I get what Nico is saying na unfair. Bakit tutukan lang natin tong LGU yung to? The problem is national. Lahat ng hospital sa Pilipinas, I mean, most of the hospitals, not all, but most, karamihan, majority, ito yung nagiging problema, ASEC.
I guess may problema sa communication between DOH and then the LGU.
Sige.
Na dapat yung mga mas nakakaalam ng ano nito, ng computation ay ang HR or kaya yung sa LGU at syempre yung DOH.
Nung nakuha mo yung SRA mo, may computation bang naka-stapler dyan o nakadikit o kasama?
Wala po.
Nung hindi mo nakuha yung computation ng SRA mo, what was the reason na sinabi sa'yo nung hospital, bakit walang computation?
Kunyari 10,000 yung healthcare workers namin. Ang binaba lang na ang binaba lang ng dinownload lang ng DOH ay hindi sapat doon sa 10,000. So to be fair, kailangan bawasan yung mga dapat namin makuha para equally divided sa lahat.
ASEC, last week, we asked Sam, naghumingi siya ng computation. Yung isang nurse naman to, sabi ng ospital, it's confidential. Can you explain to us, ano ba, may mali ba doon? Dapat ba confidential talaga yun? Ano po ba, ASEC?
Okay, ganito po Kong, wala hong confidential sa mga computations for these benefits, especially SRA. Pero kung i-contextualize ko lang, kung paano nag-allocate nga. So may allocation kami of the allotment coming from DBM, na-allocate yan for region ng region natin. So ang basihan ho ng region naman ho ay isang master listing na nanggagaling po sa facility mismo. So may master list ho, kunyari yung ating nurse scholar ngayon, syempre yung health facility niya nagbigay ho ng master list sa aming regional health office. Doon ho kami nagbase ng computation para sa pagbababa sa particular health facility na yan through our regional office po.
Okay, but how much per nurse, or yung job order ba na nurse magkaiba dun sa regular na nurse? Is there a particular amount like 5,000, kasi may mga butal-butal, may mga 26 centavos, yung mga ganon. Paano yung nararating yun? Which is never explained to them.
Basta, klaro ho kami sa mga guidelines. In fact, nandun din ho, yung mga computation na yan, sa mga joint circular issued by both DBM and Department of Health, na nanggaling din ho sa batas. So simple lang ho ang computation ng SRA.
Sige nga po.
Computation po is a healthcare worker can receive as much as 5,000 per month. Okay? But that's computed on the basis of the number of days they physically reported in the health facility. So 5,000 divided by 22 days, because that's the number of days in a month, no, working days, times the number of days physically present po si healthcare worker. So yun po, kaya ho siguro nagkakaiba-iba yung computation kasi po iba-iba naman ho yung number of days na pumapasok po physically si healthcare worker.
We should clarify that to our hospitals because there are some misconceptions na ang computation nila is per hospital bed.
If you are not in a COVID ward, you don't get.
Yeah.
Ganun ba?
Yes po, Mrs. Kasi yung batas po ay klaro po na ang main consideration ay those public and private healthcare workers who are directly catering to are in contact with a COVID patient po. And then we
But
rely
who's to
po.
determine? Because sometimes you're really exposed whether you're not sure kung COVID naman yung mga... Kasi it's a hospital. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the risk is
Yes.
kind of equal. Maybe more for those who are really directly working in a COVID ward. But parang there's so much... Our problem here is, ma'am, parang ang daming discretionary allowances, you know. Parang sa pag-compute, depending HR kung... You know, there's so much discretion left to them to compute, right?
Yes, yes. ma'am.
So there
Yes.
is some concern na parang, you know, hindi equally applied, may sasama ang loob, but in the future, something more equitable that is easy to apply without so much discretion and will leave the recipient happy. Ngayon, lahat sila nagkakainggitan, may mga, di ba? Parang it didn't leave a good feeling actually. And even there are those who have not even
Yeah.
received. Yun. Na ang fear ni Kong Apid dito is, you know, baka saan napunta yan, hindi yung sa intended recipients. Because there is a lack also of transparency in the giving, in the computation, which maybe you did not anticipate. I mean, well, you didn't make the law, but yung sa distribution kasi Kong Apid,
Doon nagkakaproblema. And what pains me, including the ASEC, I know it's very tedious work, pero what pains me is you keep on saying na hindi sa regional office yan, sa LGU yan. I think, ma'am, kaya nga tinanong ko kanina, your position is the direct and sole responsible point person for the SRA. So, it is your obligation, ma'am, to monitor this, including kahit na download nyo na po sa private and public hospitals to, siguro po pakinggan natin ang ating mga nurses. Kasi yung Philippine Nurses Association na po ang nagsasalita, na kulang, hindi po nila natatanggap. So, ma'am, sana po, obserbahan natin ano po ba ang situation on the ground.
Yes, Kong. We do the monitoring, but again, due to it's a nationwide nation application, nationwide in scale. So, nandito ko kami sa Central, and we do rely on our regional offices, regional directors, to at least oversee operations down the field po. And of course, dun sa master listing po, we are highly dependent on the certification given to us by the medical center chief or the chief of the hospital.
Ito na lang, ASEC, ano po ang style natin? Ano po ang magiging diskarte natin to prevent these magics? Itong mga kickbacks from the hospital, I'm sorry for the term, and ano po ang magiging setup ng system natin para sigurado tayong yung budget na inallocate para sa mga nurses for the SRA mapupunta sa mga nurses?
Sir, syempre we're putting in mechanisms to closely monitor allotments versus obligation versus disbursement. But of course, at at the central office level, syempre aggregates na ho yung nakikita ho namin dito. But then again, we also rely ho sa COA. May commission on audit ho naman na who can do internal audits and post audits po pagdating po ng isang particular period.
Sige
So
po, ma'am.
we will be relying on COA reports po.
Ma'am, sabi po
For us-
ninyo, COA, no? Ito, may Rappler report, before, I don't know lang kung kailan to, exact date. Basahin ko lang, ma'am, ano. In its 2020 audit report, COA finds various deficiencies involving some certain amount of public funds intended for national pandemic response of the DOH. COA says the deficiencies contributed to the challenges encountered and missed opportunities by the DOH during the state of calamity. So, ma'am, may nahanap na. And still, our system, our pag-i-entrust sa public, sa mga hospitals ng pondong to, remains the same. May nahanap ng problem, ma'am. Bakit ano nga term yan, ma'am, yung decision making, yung intransparency, nasa hospital pa rin?
Yes, Kong, nakita rin namin just in po yung report na yon, but we are aware of that and we're looking into this now po. But rest assured, as far as controls are concerned, we put in, as I've said, mechanisms to check on this at the central office level. But again,
Okay.
we need cooperation talaga, and of course, the work of our regional offices are also very key
Of
here.
course
and
naman,
critical.
of course naman.
Can we
yeah.
go to the complaint of Nico? Kasi nung December,
Yeah.
yung SRA niya from December to June of this year, hindi pa niya natatanggap. But the money was released already kung NCR, di ba? The money was released na, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yun. Opo.
All the
So,
LGUs in NCR, LGU hospitals in NCR received already the allotment, the money. So
and in fact,
he should
Yes.
receive it already because it's August na. Dapat.
we gave it to them June. So by June 30, disbursed na po ito.
O kaya nga. So, anong mga cause ng delay? Why Nico has not received his?
That we would want to look into that, ma'am. That's why we would want sana some details so that we can look into that.
But
That's
as
why
of now, you are not receiving any complaints of delays from nurses associations.
He says wala po naman except nga itong mga FNU parang letters na lumalabas ngayon na some health workers, especially in the private hospitals, did not receive
So, meron.
any.
Yung mga galing FNU.
Oo.
But one telling number is the survey that this association conducted, di ba? Naman, almost 80%
Yeah,
of
80%, ma'am.
those who responded did not receive. So
Yeah,
that means
we
talaga there's a need for to audit or
To look into it,
Yeah.
kung ano talaga, ASEC.
Yes, Mrs. and Kong, we are looking into this now kasi ngayon lang ho pumapasok yung mga complaints.
Oo.
I'm not sure kung dito lang dumiretso ngayon or dumidiretso din sila sa mga regional offices po. But rest assured, we're taking a look at the FNU letter. Nakarating po sa amin just this week.
So your next course of action is you will go and ask your regional offices to give you a report?
Actually, may report na po, Mrs. That's why gusto naming tingnan yung particular concerns ng ating FNU para ma-double check din mo namin sa mga regional offices natin.
So ang report okay lahat, nabigay na daw, ganon?
Basta may na-receive mo kaming reports of obligation and disbursement plus the number of total healthcare workers who received the SRA. So meron mo kaming per region, per health facility, and also nandun yun sa database namin ngayon, yung from the report, yung mga naka-receive sa LGUs, sa private hospitals, and even our own regional hospitals.
Nabasa niyo na, ma'am, yung report na yun, na pag-aralan mo na.
Currently tinitignan ho namin ngayon. In fact, may mga gusto lang ho kaming i-verify sa mga regional offices ho namin. Yun nga sinasabi ko po, Kong and Mrs. supposed to be, may meeting din ho kami ngayon sa mga regional offices namin just to verify.
Maraming
further
salamat na pinaunlakan niyo kami. Pero ma'am, ASEC, ito po yung sa initial na scan niyo po dun sa report na yon, May nakita ka po ba personally na problema?
Kasi po, as I've said, we have depended on the certification coming from our health facility chief. So yung lahat po naman ng na-certify nila na dapat makareceive or eligible for the benefit like SRA, na-comply naman po nila, nabigyan nila yung bawat tao na nandun sa certificate po nila.
So walang problema,
So
ma'am.
it's listed, each individual healthcare worker is named and listed there.
Yes. May
With the
certificate.
corresponding amount.
Yes po, meron po.
That detailed, not just by institution, but even the healthcare workers,
Oo.
the names are listed.
Meron po, kasi certified ho yun ng mga medical center chief. Pero yung detalye po na yun, syempre nandun ho sa aming mga regional offices. Pero bini-verify ho namin ngayon na ito, naka-receive. Pero
Okay.
ma'am, again, sabi namin central office kami. Of course,
Alam nyo,
again,
Ano pa naman yung, kung ganun pala po, baka maganda ipaskill nila yan sa regional health office
Yes.
para matignan ng nurse.
O na parang sasabihin ng nurse, may pangalan ako dito, hospital.
Wala. Hindi ko natanggap yung sinasabing halaga na yan. 'Di ba? If you really want to be transparent about it, our first complainant did not even know where that amount came from. Parang isang amount lang siya. Period. Sana man lang may computation ng paano, how many days he reported, etc. 'di ba?
we have assumed that the hospitals would have,
Would be the
of
ones.
course, made
Would be the
transparent.
ones.
Yeah,
Yun
but-
na nga eh. You
but that's where-
assume.
yeah,
Pero what if they are not? What if something happened along the way?
Okay.
Di ba?
Sige, well noted
I
po
mean,
yun.
we can
Pero,
trust, do we trust them with so much money? I
Yan.
mean, there has to be more transparency.
Yeah.
There has to be more transparency lang talaga.
Tsaka Asik, sa tingin ko, wag tayong masyado, konting monitoring pa. Yun lang ang request naman. Konting monitoring pa dun sa, kasi parang ang pag-understanding ko kay Asik on last week is, nung na-download na ng DOH sa mga ospital, sa mga regional offices, nung nalipat na sa mga ospital, stop na yung monitoring ng DOH. Doon nagkakaproblema. Doon ko nakita yung, nung nag-tracing kami, doon namin nakita yung problem. So, sana po, yung responsibility mo, ma'am, andun pa rin.
Opo. Actually, tama naman ho si Asek na syempre nag-allot kami, nag-sub-allot kami at nag-transfer sa regions. While it's true that doon kami, pero may mga monitoring mechanisms nga rin po kami. Like yun nga, yung sinasabi ko po na pwede ho kami makipag-usap isa-isa sa aming mga regional directors and check really somehow, kahit random siguro, pwede namin i-check po yun. And in fact, yun po yung, we want to sit down today with the regional directors po.
Hopefully.
But you see, the complainants even do not want to, are afraid to disclose their
Yeah.
identities and the hospital. Kasi, parang, can you imagine the atmosphere under which they are reporting? Parang natatakot pa sila na balikan. And I don't think naman they would even waste their time to complain and to come forward this way if there is nothing, if there's no meat to what they are saying. Yun na nga eh. Parang there's the fear pa na baka sila pa yung
Baka kami pa yung mabalikan.
Oo eh. Mawalan pa ng trabaho dahil sa pag-angal nila. Karapatan naman na nila ito. So, parang naintindihan ko na rin kahit pinipilit ko na sabihin mo para ma-address ninyo.
Takot talaga.
Mahirap
Natatakot talaga.
We're doing our best to manifest that and to show to everybody that of course we are grateful for all the support of the HCWs. We've been trying hard to communicate din po yan na nandito ho kami. So for example, this case of Nico, kung gusto mo sumulat ka na lang sa amin para kahit makita ho namin talaga yung sitwasyon dun sa particular hospital na yan.
Okay ba sa'yo na sumulat diretso kay Asek Mylene?
Oo, diretso na lang kung gusto po nyo. We're open po. We can help you. We can check and see what has gone wrong there.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yun, okay.
Congressman. Yes, po.
Kasi yung kay Nico kanina, medyo alarming talaga. Since high risk yung work nila, talaga magkaka-COVID ang karamihan sa kanila. Still, pag JO ka, pag hindi ka regular nurse, wala kang bayad pag nagka-COVID ka. Ma'am, is there something we can do about this?
namin ay meron naman silang dapat matanggap.
Oh.
Opo. Aha. Pero i-check lang ho namin
Yes,
yung rates
please.
kung
Please do.
magkano po yun for JOs.
It will come from where? DOH or the LGU?
Dapat nakasama na ho yun yung pwedeng maibigay sa mga
Na COVID.
nagkaka-COVID.
Oh, so may pondo para sa mga nagkaka-COVID.
Kasi
Dapat
yung
naman,
no? Ayun.
may nasa batas din po yung compensation for those who get sick of
Pala.
COVID.
Ayun, no? Ma'am, thank you for clarifying that. Thank you very much
Which
for clarifying that.
portion? Which portion in the law? Is it in bayanihan?
Yeah, it's in the Bayanihan Act 1 and Act 2. There's a compensation for those who get sick. And it could cover both public and private healthcare workers. Basta may documentary requirements lang po na syempre kailangan i-produce. I-check ko namin kung anong section.
Okay.
Basta you can receive as much as 15,000 for an episode of COVID. Of course, yung 100,000 for moderate to severe, and then of course, for death, 1 million. Nasa batas din ho yun.
This is for the nurses na nagjo-duty sa hospital. Pag nagka-COVID, ito yung matatanggap nila. Tama ba, Asek?
All healthcare workers po.
All healthcare workers. Okay, ito, example yan, Asek. I will ask for your help and magkakaroon naman tayo, Asek, ng hearing sa Congress about this. Pero, Asek, I will ask your help ngayon pa lang. Katulad niyan, yung pinagtatrabahuhan ni Nico, hindi nila alam na dapat merong compensation pag nagka-COVID ka. Hindi nila alam tong mga detalyeng to. Hindi nila alam na bawal gawing confidential ang computation.
We hope we can also continue this conversation dahil dinadagsa po kami ng reklamo.
Oo.
We will continue naman to follow. Hindi follow this up na hanggang si Nico
Oo.
makatanggap ng talagang due him.
Oo.
Nico and other healthcare workers. May hearing ba na magaganap sa Kongreso?
I filed nung Monday, ma'am, about this issue.
Okay.
Ang gusto ko lang naman is, ang dami talagang discretion. Ang daming nagkakamali na, katulad yan, misinterpretation na naman, yung sa COVID, yung nagka-COVID. So, I think the right venue to clarify this is the source of the law, which is in Congress. So, let's talk about this in Congress. And sabi ko nga, ma'am, mas okay nang sobra-sobra ang matanggap ng health workers, wag na wag lang kulang.